Welcome everyone to our Spheric Maps product overview webinar special edition for our StreamerRT users. I'm Nathan Parker. I'll be your instructor for today. I'm going to briefly go over the technology while we give people a chance to come in. So before we get started, if you have any questions during the webinar, we have an Ask Question feature in the GoToWebinar control panel. You can use that and we will save some time after the webinar to answer your questions. Now is a great time to ask questions during the webinar since I am skilled on StreamerRT and Sferic Maps. After the webinar, if you have any questions, send them to info@earthnetworks.com and we'll be happy to follow up with you there. And don't worry, we can't hear you. Everyone is in listen only mode and your microphone is muted so we can minimize background noise. If you're on the go, you can also download the GoToWebinar app on your smartphone and you can take this, or on your tablet, and you can take this and watch this live on the go. And we are recording the webinar and we're going to provide the recording to you shortly after the webinar so you can go back and watch this as many times as you wish. If you're having any sound issues and you can't hear us during the webinar, then try to sign out and rejoin the webinar session. Many times that resolves the issue. You can also check your speakers, make sure that you're not muted and your volume is turned up. You can also check your internet connection. With this going over the internet, you may want to switch to a wireless from a wireless to a wired internet connection for better reliability. You can also dial in using the phone. There's a feature in the GoToWebinar control panel that shows you how to do that. And if all else fails, you can send us a message and in the Ask a Question feature, and we can try to assist with that. So we're going to go ahead and dive on into the webinar and get started. So first of all, welcome everyone to our Spheric Maps product overview webinar for StreamerRT customers. In this webinar, I'm going to show the main differences between Spheric Maps, which is the new product, versus StreamerRT, which is the old product. And I'll be showing both interfaces side by side off and on, and giving you an overview of many of the enhancements and great features that are available in Spheric Maps. One thing to note that if you are on StreamerRT and in the process of migrating to Spheric Maps, we are going to be sunsetting StreamerRT on August 12th. August 12th is the day that we're going to be sunsetting StreamerRT and being fully transitioned to Spheric Maps. So I believe everybody's made the transition, but just letting you know that is the final end date for StreamerRT. So let's dive in now and look at the new enhancements. So first off, let's talk about custom views. In StreamerRT, when I wanted to look at custom views, some of the custom views were pinned here on the toolbar, and then others I accessed from this views dialog box here on the toolbar. And this is how I would get to different custom views and create custom views, mainly through this views dialog box. Well, in Spheric Maps, we've enhanced all of that and streamlined it into this nice, more consistent views drop-down menu that's super easy to use. I can simply click on the views drop-down menu and select any custom view. So for example, if I want to see temperatures here across my home state in Arkansas, I can do that. If I want to see radar and satellite across my region, for example, on the South Central Regional Satellite and Radar, I can do that. And so I can easily switch between custom views using this custom views menu. Also, this is where one will create a new custom view. All you have to do is simply click Add at the bottom of the menu and give the view a name. In this case, I'm going to call it Webinar. And then you simply click on the Save button, and that saves the custom view. Now, a good naming convention I generally use when working with custom views is I will usually give the name of the location, so that could be country, region, state, city, county, or even just a location itself. And then I'll give some information. So for example, I'd say, for example, if there's going to be radar, satellite, something on those lines, and some some type of weather data on that sort. So that is what I generally give for those different view naming conventions. Excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the data from this custom view. And What I'm going to do, one other thing I need to mention about custom views is when you make a change to a custom view, you're also going to want to click this save icon in the main toolbar. That's going to save any changes that you make to your custom views and make sure that everything is in sync. So once you have created your custom view, you're then going to also want to choose a custom base map, because this is an enhancement over StreamerRT. In StreamerRT, we had one base map that was a good, accurate base map and worked very well in StreamerRT. But in Spheric Maps, we have made an enhancement over that, and we have made this better. And so in Spheric Maps, how this works is if you'll go to the workspace on the right-hand side of the screen, and at the bottom of the User Layers tab, you'll see Base Layer. If you click on Change, that's going to change the allow you to change the base map, and we have a range of different base maps to choose from. We've got some simple ones, we got some really good high resolution ones like my personal favorite, Satellite Streets. We've got a dark mode base map, which is also really popular with many of our customers, and it's very easy to change these different custom base maps. In fact, for the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to pick with the default, and when you're done, you simply click on Done. Now, the icing on the cake is that different custom views can have different custom base maps. So one view can have a simpler base map, other views can have more high resolution base maps, so you can mix and match those base maps to your heart's content. So once you've created your custom view and you've chosen your custom base map, you're then going to want to navigate using the map controls. And in StreamerRT, the map controls were right over here in the upper left portion of the screen. And this is where you navigated around on your map controls. They're in a similar location in Spheric Maps. When I go to the Spheric Maps screen, they are right here in the upper left corner, just a slightly different orientation. And I'll quickly go over the map controls. They're pretty much self-explanatory. And if you've used any popular mapping sites such as Google Maps, you're already an expert at this. So I can hit the plus button to zoom in. I can hit the minus button to zoom out. I can also do a draw box and zoom just like I could in StreamerRT. So I can just draw a box around a given area and zoom into a region. I can click and pan around using my mouse to pan the map. We also have a full screen mode in Spheric Maps, and the difference between our full screen mode and the full screen mode of your web browser is with your web browser, it's still going to show browser elements such as your address bar and things of that sort. With our full screen mode, it works like a kiosk mode where it's going to hide everything but the map itself. So if you need to run Spheric Maps in some type of kiosk mode, then we do have that capability where you can run that full screen mode with our full screen mode. We also have a great distance measuring tool available in Spheric Maps as well. So if you need to see how far that storm is from you or how far that lightning is from you, which we do have lightning alerts as well, and I'll be showing that coming up, then you simply can create a new measurement and you just draw a line between a couple of points and you'll see some measurement information here. When you're done, you click on Finish Measurement. That plots it right there on the line. And when you're done, you simply click on delete, and that takes care of the distance measurement. So that is how you work with these. That is how you work with the measurements. And so I'm going to go ahead and navigate this map over the continental US, and I will now show you how to work with map layers in Spheric Maps. In StreamerRT, how you worked with different map layers was you use these map layers drop-down menu here at the top of the screen, and all your map layers were in a series of menus, and then you would select the different map layers from these different menus. Well, in Spheric Maps, we've consolidated all of that into this map layers panel that's on the left-hand side of the screen. In fact, we also recently did an update to Spheric Maps, so when you open these panels, it no longer shifts the map to the side as well, which is another nice little enhancement. In fact, we can expand all of the categories or collapse all of the categories of map layers, and we can also search for map layers as well in this panel. Working with map layers is very simple. You simply select a category, You check the box, that enables the map layer. You deselect the box, that removes the map layer. So it's as simple as that. Now, one other thing I'll mention before taking a tour of some of these map layers is, with most of the map layers in Spheric Maps, they are contours, which are graphical representations of weather data, because this is a weather visualization dashboard and you're looking at graphical representations of weather data. With current observations and with the Ndfd forecasts, some of those layers can be displayed not only as the contour, so in this case, for example, this temperature gradient that you see across the US, but we can also display the data as the actual numeric values themselves in a series of points. In fact, we could display both of these on the map if we wanted to do that. So with the current observations and the Ndfd forecast layers, some of those can be displayed as points in addition to contours. And that's pretty much how it was in StreamerRT, but I wanted to point that out and make that clear for the sake of training. So let's go through some of these map layers. I want to show you especially some of the map layers that are new to Spheric Maps that were not in StreamerRT. I also want to show you some of the great enhancements we've added to existing map layers that we brought from StreamerRT over into Spheric Maps. So first of all, we've got our US state and county boundaries, and these were in StreamerRT, but we've made an enhancement to them. I can now open the workspace on the right-hand side of the screen, and I can customize the US state and county boundaries. So for example, if I wanted to make the county boundaries gray, and if I wanted to bump up the line width to 2, then I can do that. So we now have that ability to customize these US state and county boundaries and make them pop even more than we did in StreamerRT, which is a really nice enhancement. Under current observations, we have all sorts of current observations on board. So we've got the points and contours for temperature, and we got temperature rate, high and low temperature, dew point. We did bring over the dew point rate from StreamerRT. We've got the dew point depression, wet bulb temperature, humidity, heat index, wind chill, wind speed and direction. We got the gusts, we got the rain rate, daily rain, the pressure, and the pressure rate. We also brought over the temperature deviation from yesterday, which is another popular feature. And of course, with these layers, just like they were in StreamerRT, because we are a global weather network, most of these layers work across not just the US, but across the globe. So we do have that capability here on board in here in Spheric Maps. We do have a few layers that are available for our US customers as well that are new in Spheric Maps. And the first one is Pollen Count. So any allergy sufferers can now track pollen counts across the US. We also have the ability to display the wet bulb globe temperature and wet bulb globe temperature 10-minute average. Now, most of the features in Spheric Maps I'm going to show today are included in the base Spheric Maps package. There are a few features that are provisioned separately as add-ons. This is one of them, and here's how you'll know if you have each of the add-ons that we have available. When you go to profile.earthnetworks.com, under subscriptions, we have the Spheric Maps base package, and then we have 3 add-ons. We have the Spheric Maps WBGT, which is the wet bulb globe temperature. We also have Spheric Chat, which I will demo in a moment, and we also have the Lightning Archive feature that I will also demo in a moment. So those are the 3 features that are provisioned as add-ons that are separately provisioned from the Spheric Maps base package. And if you don't have access to those and are interested in learning more about them, just reach out to us after the webinar and we will be glad to assist there. And so once you've provisioned, for example, the wet bulb globe temperature add-on, then everything will seamlessly integrate into Spheric Maps, and you can display the wet bulb globe temperature as well as the 10-minute average. In fact, if you click on one of the stations themselves, it will even show you the wet bulb globe temperature and the 10-minute average in the map data itself. And even if you bring up the online weather center for the station, it will display that data as well. So you'll have that capability on board as well, fully seamlessly integrated into Spheric Maps. And so moving on, we also do have the Ndfd forecasts on board. So we've got the daily high and low temperatures for the current as well as for the next 7 days for the lows and highs. We can display that in Spheric Maps. We've also got the temperature deviation, the current from low, current from high, and current from observed. and we can also display radar and satellite layers as well. We have the radar Mosaic on board, and the main difference between this one and StreamerRT is that now one click gives you US and Canada, whereas in StreamerRT you had to click 2 different buttons to do that. This radar Mosaic, just like in StreamerRT, it gives you the big picture of the of radar, so it's giving you the complete mosaic across the US and Canada. It is also going to apply winter typing, so we can tell the difference between rain, snow, and freezing precipitation, and the data is smoothed and contoured as well. In fact, on the winter precipitation, we even take the temperature data from the Earth Network's observation network and more accurately fine-tune the difference between the rain, snow, and freezing precipitation. We also have forecast radar, and the main enhancement with forecast radar in StreamerRT from Sferic Maps is that with forecast radar, you can now animate it. So if I open the workspace and click on the animation button, we now have an animation player at the bottom, and it gives timestamps at the bottom as well. And this can show us the forecast radar for the next 2 hours in 10-minute intervals. In StreamerRT, it was just a series of static images. You can now animate this in Sferic Maps, and it works really, really well so that you can see over the next 2 hours in 10-minute intervals what is going to occur with the severe weather on the radar. So that's a big enhancement we did over forecast radar in StreamerRT. We also have the ability to display single site radar as well. And the main difference between the two, and I'm just going to zoom into Arkansas, my home state here, and show the difference between the two. The forecast radar is the big mosaic and showing you the complete picture. It smooths and contours the data, and it shows winter typing. Whereas with single site radar, it focuses on just an individual radar site itself. So I'm just going to click on KLZK, and this is just the individual radar site. It's also giving you the raw image, so it's not going to smooth and contour the data, and it's not going to apply any winter typing to it. But there are some additional storm analysis that you can do with single site radar. So you can look at some storm tracks, you can track wind shear with mesocyclones and tornado vortex signatures. You can also track hail, so you can see the little green triangles on the map as well. And not only can you look at reflectivity, but you can also look at velocity, so you can see winds blowing toward and away from the radar, which is another great indication of wind shear. And you can also look at the storm relative velocity as well. So I usually start with the radar mosaic and look at the big picture first, and then switch to single site radar and look at the two in conjunction. And that gives you a very comprehensive picture of what's going on with severe weather. In addition to that, we also do have the Storm ETA feature on board as well. And the Storm ETA feature is a way that you can see when the center of the storm is going to be hitting a given area. In fact, if you zoom in tighter, then you can even see the timestamps and the ETAs on these storm ETAs, so you can see specifically when the storm is going to hit a given area with these different storm ETAs. Now, the difference between our storm ETAs and storm ETAs you may see on other weather radar sites is that in addition to using the Weather Service radar cell tracks, which are the ones in red, we also fold in the data from our Earth Network's Total Lightning Network. Those are the ones that you'll either see in green, orange, or purple. And this allows us to give ETAs that update much faster and give you more accurate ETAs than just what you're seeing from the radar. So we give you the ones from the radar, plus we give you our own based on our Total Lightning Network, so we can give you some of the fastest and most accurate storm ETAs that we can give you in Sferic Maps. So this is a really popular feature that our customers absolutely love, and so we hope that you will take advantage of that great feature in Sferic Maps. In addition to our radar mosaic, we also have new to Sferic Maps PulseRad. And if you're wondering, well, what is PulseRad? PulseRad is a Doppler radar alternative is based on our Earth Network's Total Lightning Network, where if the lightning intensity in a given area is intense, then it can simulate the look of radar and show where intense storms are based on total lightning. And what's great about PulseRad is that not only does it work in the US and Canada, it is a global data set, so it works everywhere where our Total Lightning Network works. and it works great in areas that's very difficult or impossible to install traditional radar towers. So over very mountainous terrain, over the water, it can track storms in areas where it's just difficult or even impossible to install a traditional radar tower. So for our international customers especially, they're going to get quite a bit of benefit out of PulseRad, and especially customers in areas where they could not get a traditional radar tower installed. This is a great way where they can still continue to track storms and severe weather using PulseRad, which is new to Sferic Maps, was not in StreamerRT, and it's another great enhancement that we've added. We've also added the global infrared satellite in, which is great for tracking tropical weather. Plus, you can also drill down and look at the European infrared satellite, the North American infrared satellite, or the North American visible satellite. The main difference between infrared and visible satellite is infrared satellite works during the day and night. Visible satellite works primarily during the day. And so that's the difference between those two. We also do have lightning tracking on board, and I'm going to, and with our lightning tracking, it is a global, we have a global lightning network, so this works globally. And I'm going to zoom back into the continental US as I continue to work on this. And with our lightning tracking, we can also open the workspace. And so, for example, here we can choose to look at the flash or the pulse, and we can choose to see lightning anywhere from the past minute to the past 60 minutes. So if I wanted to see lightning for the past 30 minutes, I could do that. And we can choose to display either the cloud to ground lightning, the in-cloud lightning, or both, because at Earth Networks, we have the Earth Network's total lightning network, where not only do we detect the lightning that you can see with the cloud to ground lightning, we also detect the strikes you can't see with the in-cloud lightning, and we can display the total lightning in Sferic Maps. So more organizations trust Earth Networks for our total lightning network, and you have that power at your fingertips. We also have the ability to display lightning cell tracks as well, and I can click on any of these cell tracks at any time, and I can get some data here in this map data tab. I can click on, before I click on that, I can click on the plus button and I can see a table come up with some additional details, and then I can click on history and I can export or copy these tables, and I can also look at these charts in a line chart, a column chart, and an area chart. So we have the ability to do full-fledged lightning analysis with this map data tab, which is really a great feature here in Sferic Maps. We also have some great severe weather data sets on board, so we can show you how much rain has fallen over the past hour up to the past 24 hours with this rainwater accumulation. In addition to this feature, I like to use this in conjunction with the daily rain and rain rate features in the current observations. So if you put both of those together, you're going to get some really good observation materials there. We also have the ability to show snow amounts from the past hour to the past 24 hours, and we can show snow amount forecasts anywhere 0 to 6 hours out to 18 to 24 hours. Snow probability forecast anything greater than 4, 8, or 12 inches from 0 to 24 hours out to 49 to 72 hours. Freezing rain probability forecast anything greater than 1/4 of an inch from 0 to 24 hours out to 49 to 72 hours. Plus, we can show the river flood outlooks as well, so we can show you rivers that are flooding or likely to flood, and we can also show flash flood guidance as well based on soil moisture conditions. We also have the ability to track fires and fire perimeters in Sferic Maps as well, because wildfires also contribute to different forms of weather, and it's also important that people are able to track wildfires. We have that capability on board as well. And we can also display local storm reports from the National Weather Service Skywarn. So after the severe weather event is over, you can go back and look at the local storm reports. Plus, we do have the ability to show active and historical storms for the Atlantic and Pacific. So we have that ability to track tropical weather in Sferic Maps as well. So when it comes to severe weather, winter weather, tropical weather, you name the weather, we have you covered. We also have the ability to display alerts. We can show the most recent alerts from the National Weather Service, as well as we can break these down into different types of alerts. So if I just want to see flooding alerts, we can do that. If I just want to see severe alerts, we can do that. And we can even display special weather statements as well. So we have the different alerts on board. We can also display the Earth Network's dangerous thunderstorm alerts. And how this works is, when there's intense lightning in an area that can produce other forms of severe weather, then we will issue a Earth Network's dangerous thunderstorm alert. These are generally about 50% faster than traditional weather service alerts. They give about a 40 to 45 minute heads up of severe weather that's coming. So if it's any other form of severe weather, such as a severe thunderstorm or hail or even possible tornadoes, if the lightning intensity gets to the point where it can produce other forms of severe weather, we will issue these dangerous thunderstorm alerts. And when you see one of these issued, that means that you simply need to be in Sferic Maps and start tracking the severe weather for the given area. And with these dangerous thunderstorm alerts, because we are a global weather network, these also work across the globe, not just in the US. So it's a great benefit to our international customers as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and demo this last little category here that I skipped over a moment ago, and that is the Lightning Archive feature. Let me go back to the continental US and show how this Lightning Archive feature works. So how the Lightning Archive feature works is, I will first click on the plus button here to generate a new report, and it's going to ask me to select a drawing tool, and I'm going to click OK. And so how this works is, I will use these drawing tools here on the upper right side of the screen to select the drawings. So here, for example, I'm going to draw a box over Arkansas. That is going to allow me to access the Lightning Archive report and give it a name. In this case, I'm just going to call mine Webinar. And then I'm going to click on Next, and it's going to give me the Create Historical Lightning Report dialog. It's going to pre-fill that name in there, Webinar. It's going to ask for an email. I'm just going to put in my Earth Networks email. And then it's going to ask me the time frame for the report, so I can either choose local time or UTC time. For the start and end dates, I'm just going to pick the past few days, because I know we've had lightning the past few days on here, and so I'm just going to pick that. When you pick local time, it does give you the UTC equivalent times as well. You can choose whether you want the lightning type to be a flash or a pulse. In this case, I'm going to choose a pulse. You can choose whether you want cloud to ground or in cloud or both. If you want the total lightning in both, you simply select both check boxes. We also have some additional options here if you want to customize any of those. Then you choose the report format. This is either a CSV file, which can be used in a variety of applications, or a KMZ file, which is mostly beneficial in Google Earth and certain map viewers like that. For this demo, I'm going to choose a KMZ file because I want to show this in Google Earth. And then if you need to more precisely modify the latitude and longitude, if your drawing wasn't as precise as you wanted it to be, you can go back and edit the bounding box and make your latitude and longitude more precise. For the sake of this demo, I'm just going to leave it as default. And when you're done, you click on submit, and then it says you will receive an email with the results, and then you close the dialog. Now, sometimes these emails take a little bit to receive, so before this webinar started, I pre-baked one like your favorite cooking show, and I went into my inbox, and here is what the email looks like when you receive one, and it gives all of your details in here, and then you can simply download your files using these download links. It'll either be one link or it could be a series of links if it's a large report, and then they needed to, if it's a large report, then we will split it up into a series of links, especially when it comes to KMZ files. It usually does split it up. And so these links will work for 7 days. After 7 days, the links will no longer work. So you will just simply click and download any of the links that you want to download. Once you've downloaded the files, for example, I have my KMZ file sitting here. I simply click on it, and that's going to load it right up in Google Earth. and this is going to load that lightning archive file, and now I'm able to take a look at the lightning and do my lightning archive analysis right here in Google Earth. So this is how to use that powerful lightning archive tool. In StreamerRT, the lightning archive button was over here on the main toolbar. So in Spheric Maps, the main difference on where you get to it at is under Sferic Maps. It is now under Map Layers. So you will now get to it here under Lightning Archive. So that is how to get there. And so now what I'm going to do is add some map data to the map and show a few other differences and enhancements in Spheric Maps. I'm going to add radar, and I'm going to add some temperature points to the map. And I'm now going to open the workspace on the right-hand side of the screen. The workspace has two tabs, user layers and map data. User layers is pretty much the same as the sidebar in StreamerRT, except we've just visually enhanced it and made it better. And so with the user layers, I can choose to show or hide a user layer using this show button. So this allows me to temporarily show or hide a user layer without going back to the map data pane and map layers pane and opening and removing the map layer that way. So that's how that works. I can also rearrange map layers. And so one thing I need to do is do a quick refresh on we're having a storm today, so my internet's a little glitchy at times. And so let me re-add those map layers to the map. So I'm going to re-add radar and satellite, and then I'm going to re-add the current temperature plots to the map. There we go. And so the next thing that I can do is I can also rearrange map layers in this user layers pane. So for example, if I wanted radar on top of temperatures, I can do that. If I want to send the map layer to the top, then I simply click that button and it will send the map layer to the top. We can make map layers more opaque and more transparent using this slider. We can remove map layers from the map using the X's here that you see on the side. Some map layers, like we saw with Future Radar, as well as the Radar Mosaic and some others, can be animated as well. Some map layers can be customized, like we saw with Lightning and like we saw with the US state and county boundaries. For example, if I wanted to turn these polygons off, then I can turn them off, and if I want them back on, then I can turn them back on. With these different user layers, we can also display the color keys right here in this user layers pane, so we can show that as well. If we wanted to put a color key on the map, so say if we're taking a screenshot of this for social media, then I can check this box and put the color key directly on the map itself. So working with user layers, very similar to how it worked in the sidebar in StreamerRT, with a few visual enhancements and a few additional enhancements there. But we also have a second tab now called Map Data, and this is a big enhancement over StreamerRT. With StreamerRT, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a map layer that shows temperature data here. And in StreamerRT, anytime I brought up map data, and I need to send that layer to the top so we can analyze this. Anytime I clicked on any of this map data, it would show everything as a map data tooltip. But then if I click on another weather station, it clears the previous weather station that I'm looking at. And so with each time that I would look at a different station, I can only look at one station at a time as a map data tooltip. And any other type of analysis that I did in StreamerRT, I can only look at these as tooltips and look at one at a time. Well, the big enhancement we did in Spheric Maps is we now have a map data tab. So I can click on multiple multiple weather stations in this case at once, and look at multiple ones at the same time, which is a big, huge enhancement there. I can even export the map data out as a CSV file if I wanted to do that. I can even rearrange these map data in this map data tab, so I can rearrange stations in here. I can remove a station if I need to by clicking the X button. And then from here, I can do all sorts of additional analysis right here in this map data tab. I can even click this button and look at additional data here in the map data tab before even going to the online weather center. And then if I still want to take this further, then I can click on the Online Weather Center and bring up the Online Weather Center page for the station, and I can look at the camera and I can animate it, and I can look at the hourly or daily observations in the station graph and do everything that I did with the Online Weather Centers in StreamerRT. So this Map Data tab is a huge enhancement in Spheric Maps, where it now allows you to look at multiple data points at once, and not only for weather stations, you can also look at multiple data points when you're doing the lightning cell track analysis and other map layers that you can also click on map data and do something with that as well. So we have that capability in StreamerRT, in Spheric Maps, which is a great enhancement there. And so in addition to those features, I also want to show you the other way that you can use drawing tools in Spheric Maps. Earlier, I showed how to work with drawing tools for the Lightning Archive. Now I want to show you how to use drawing tools for the actual annotations themselves. And the main difference between StreamerRT and Spheric Maps are the location of the drawing tools. So in StreamerRT, the drawing tools were right here on the main toolbar on the left-hand side next to the map controls where you would navigate the map. In Spheric Maps, we've now put them here in the right-hand corner, just made a nice little visual tweak there where we've separated out the map controls and the drawing tools and made it easier to more visually appealing to separate both of them. And then we have, with our drawing tools, you can draw a polyline, a polygon, you can draw a rectangle, you can draw a circle, you can even plot a marker on the map. And so you simply select one of these drawing tools, you can click and start drawing. So for example, I'm drawing this line. It's even going to give me the miles on it. You can change this to metric measurements as well if you need to. And when I'm done, there's my line, and I can click on finish. And then if I want to delete this layer, then I can simply click on the delete button and click on delete the line and then click on save, and that deletes that from the map. So that is how that works with the drawing tools. We also have a great video at support.earthnetworks.com that really goes more deep into using the drawing tools and how you can also take the drawing annotations and save them as custom layers. And how you can get there, you simply click on this help button on the main toolbar. That's going to take you to our Earth Networks support page, and we got a knowledge base full of great how-to articles in Spheric Maps. We've also got some great training videos on Spheric Maps, and we got a training video that really goes deep into drawing tools. So for those that want to really take this to a whole new level, check out that great video that is available on our support page. And so next I want to show how to work with custom layers in Spheric Maps, which is another great enhancement to Spheric Maps, which was not in StreamerRT. And so how custom layers work in Spheric Maps is that, as you see here at the top of the map layers pane, we have this custom layers category as well. So you can now bring your own custom layers into Spheric Maps, and this can be either a GeoJSON file as long as it's 30 megabytes or less, or it can be a shape file as long as it's zip archive format and that's 10 megabytes or less. And so once you've brought in your custom layer, and you'll do it by using the upload button, then you can display that custom layer right here on the map. So before this webinar, I brought in a shape file called Maryland Airports, and if I check the box, the file is going to load, and here's the various airports in Maryland, and I can even customize this user layer. So for example, if I want to change the color to red, I can do that. If I want to make it more opaque or more transparent, I can do that as well. Some of these user layers, you can even click on the various points and look at data in the map data tab, depending on the GeoJSON file or shape file. We'll also tell you if the GeoJSON file's coordinates are in an unsupported format when uploading it, so that way when you're making sure that you're uploading files that are fully supported and work well in Spheric Maps. But now you can bring your own custom GeoJSON files or shape files into Spheric Maps and make map layers from them and your own custom user layers, which really allows you to enhance the capabilities and power in Spheric Maps, something that was not available in StreamerRT. Also, I want to show the differences on creating slideshows. It's pretty much similar. In StreamerRT, you clicked on slideshows and you had your slideshow dialog box and you could put together a slideshow. We basically just visually enhanced it, but creating a slideshow is pretty straightforward. So we have the slideshows button here on the main toolbar. When I click on it, and let me clear my annotation there, and we click on slideshows and I click on add slideshow, all I have to do is give the slideshow a name. So I can call this one webinar. I can select a couple different slides. So for example, I'll do Arkansas temperatures and I'll do the South Central radar and satellite. We can rearrange slides in the slideshow. I can choose slide duration anywhere from 10 seconds to 10 minutes. I'll just put each one at 10 seconds for the sake of time. And I can click on save to save the slideshow and start the slideshow. And now every 10 seconds, these slides will cycle back and forth automatically where I don't have to do any additional lifting. So we have that capability in Spheric Maps. When I go back to slideshows, I can simply click stop and that will stop the slideshow. So very simple and straightforward. We've also added a new broadcast collaboration feature to Spheric Maps that was not in StreamerRT. And how this works is if your colleagues are also running Spheric Maps, then you can share your Spheric Maps screen with them, and everything that you do on your screen gets mirrored to your other colleagues' screens. Now, the only limitation with this is they do also have to be using Spheric Maps. If you're going to be broadcasting out to a wide audience, then you'll want to still use third-party screen sharing software. But if all of your colleagues are using Spheric Maps, you don't have to use or install third-party screen sharing software anymore. You can do everything right in Spheric Maps. We've got this broadcast collaboration button on the main toolbar, and how this works is you simply click on the broadcast collaboration button and one person will click new broadcast to start the broadcast. They'll get an alphanumeric code that they will simply copy to the clipboard and give out to the other colleagues. When they're done with the broadcast, they'll click on cancel broadcast. Once someone has initiated the broadcast, the colleagues will go to the same menu and click on view broadcast. They'll paste in the alphanumeric code and then click on start, and whoever started the broadcast, everything they do in Spheric Maps with the custom base map, custom views, zooming, panning, map layers, whatever they're doing will automatically be mirrored to everyone else's screen, and so everyone can join in on the weather briefing and see what is going on there. So it's a really powerful feature that we have available there in Spheric Maps, and a great enhancement, something that was not available in StreamerRT. And so those are the main features in Spheric Maps itself. I'm now going to pivot to the last two features that are in Spheric Maps, that's alerting and mobile. So in alerting, the main difference between alerting in Spheric Maps and StreamerRT itself is how you access it. So in StreamerRT, you accessed it under this edit notifications button here in StreamerRT. In Spheric Maps, you're going to want to go to profile.earthnetworks.com, and then on the sidebar, you're going to want to click on alerting. And that's going to bring up the Earth Networks rule configuration page. It's going to look identical to the way it was in StreamerRT, because the good news is when you migrate from StreamerRT to Spheric Maps, all of your alert rules come along for the ride, because they both used a common foundation there. So when you brought over all your alert rules will be brought over. Now, other things such as your custom views, because Spheric Maps has been rebuilt from the ground up, that you will want to recreate your custom views when you come from StreamerRT over to Spheric Maps, but your alert rules have been brought over. However, once you migrate to Spheric Maps, I recommend taking a few minutes and tweaking some of your alert rules, because we have added some great new enhancements to alert rules in Spheric Maps that you're likely going to want to take advantage of. And the magic number to remember when working with alert rules in Spheric Maps is the number 3. There are 3 tabs at the top of your screen: Manage Locations, Manage Delivery, and Manage Rules. There are 3 ways to add locations to Spheric Maps. You can add an address, a latitude and longitude, or, and I'll demo in a moment, you can use your smartphone app with the Spheric Mobile App and do location-based alerts. Now to add a static location as an address or latitude and longitude, just like in StreamerRT, you click on add a new location. You give the location a name, so I'd say Earth Networks headquarters, and then you fill in the address or the latitude and longitude. Latitude and longitude is generally more precise, but we'll take either one, and you simply click on create location. Under managed delivery, we can do alerts through email. We can do alerts through text message. You just simply need to format the phone number as an email address. And we have a great article at support.earthnetworks.com that shows you how to do this. And new to Spheric Maps, we can also send alerts to the Spheric Mobile App as well, which I will demo in just a moment. To add an email address or a phone number formatted as an email address for text message capabilities, you simply click on add new device. You give the device a name, so I can just say my name, then you give the type as email, and then you'll either enter a phone number formatted as an email address or an email address. So I'll just enter my Earth Networks email address, and you'll simply click on create device, and that creates the device in the system. Then you'll go on to manage rules, and this is where you will create your actual alert rules themselves. We do have a way to still import and export rules if need be, and this is where you also create new rules. So for example, I can click on add a new rule. I'm going to give the rule a name. So for example, I can say lightning at Earth Networks headquarters, and then you can simply choose your location from the list. So you can choose one of your static locations, then you can choose a delivery from either email or from mobile devices, and then I can simply click on send a test alert if I wanted to test this out. And then we have 3 categories of alerts, just like we did in StreamerRT. And if you want to take advantage of all these alerts, then you will need at least 1 alert rule per category. In some cases, you may want more than 1 alert rule per category. And so we have the lightning alerts on board. So for example, lightning within 10 miles every, say, 30 minutes. And then we can send an all clear as well. We also have the ability to display observation alerts, so we can display all the same observation alerts that were in StreamerRT. So for example, I could do outdoor temperature that's less than 32 or greater than 100 degrees if I wanted to do that. We also do have the ability for those with the wet bulb globe temperature add-on to get alerts for the wet bulb globe temperature 10-minute average. So we can send out the wet bulb globe temperature 10-minute average alerts as well, which is new to Sferic Maps. And we also have a full suite of weather service alerts on board. So for example, we can do the traditional severe alert, so tornado, severe thunderstorm, flash flood, and we can choose to display the watches in addition to the warnings. And then we have all sorts of other alerts on board. So we can do flooding, we can do winter, we can do non-precipitation, fire weather, tropical weather, coastal weather, civil emergency messages. We have recently added special weather statements as well, so that is one that we have added. Plus, we can display those Earth Networks dangerous thunderstorms alerts as well and alert you for those. Any alert rules, you can also set silence times as well, so you can choose when the alerts can automatically fire alerts and not. And we have a great article at support.earthnetworks.com that can show you the details there. Once you've created your alert rule, then you'll simply click to add the rule. And once the rule is created in the system, the final thing to make sure is under the enabled column, any alert rules that you want to send alerts, make sure that they are checked to yes, because you can enable or disable alerts without completely deleting the alert rule. If you ever want to completely delete the alert rule, you can do that, but we also have the ability to enable or disable weather alerts by simply, if they say yes, it's going to fire weather alerts. If it says no, they're not going to fire weather alerts. So we have that capability as well. And so just keep that in mind when creating alert rules. And finally, under alert locations, we do have the ability to display the alert locations on the map as well, just like we could in StreamerRT, except we've just added a slight visual tweak to the way they look. But other than that, that is pretty much the same there. Now, the final feature I'm going to demo before opening it up for questions is the Spheric Mobile App. This is, to me, one of the biggest enhancements in StreamerRT, in Sferic Maps over StreamerRT, and one of my personal favorite features in Sferic Maps. So in StreamerRT, it was a great weather visualization dashboard and a great tool to use, but it was primarily optimized for traditional desktop computing environments and traditional desktop and notebook computers. And it ran great on those, and that was the way it was traditionally optimized for. In Spheric Maps, we have rebuilt and reimagined Spheric Maps from the ground up, so now Spheric Maps goes with you wherever you go, fully optimized for whatever device you're using. So it's going to run great on a traditional desktop or notebook computer like I've done for this webinar. But I can also take Spheric Maps with me away from my desk using a tablet. And if I load the Spheric Maps interface on my tablet, such as my iPad, it's going to run great on it. And everything that I demoed here is going to work there, fully optimized for touch. And I can even take this to a whole new level and take Spheric Maps with me in my pocket wherever I go, completely away from my desk using the Spheric Mobile App. So I have my iPhone with me here. You'll download the Spheric Mobile App from the App Store if you're on iOS or the Google Play Store if you're on Android. You'll sign in with the same credentials that you use for Spheric Maps on the desktop. And once you've done that, you'll first come to an alerts page. And so I can look at alerts, I can filter these by location, I can tap on the alert and get additional details as well if I want to do that. Plus, I can open this side panel here and I can look at additional capabilities with these as well. So for example, I can tap on manage alerts, and everything I did on the desktop, I can now do with me wherever I go with the locations, delivery, and rules right here. I can also look at my Earth Networks Enterprise Portal account right here in my pocket wherever I go. Plus, we do also have the ability to bring up Spheric Chat from this app as well, and I will quickly demo chat here in just a moment because that's one feature I didn't demo, but Spheric Chat is available here. And my favorite feature is Spheric Maps, fully optimized for my mobile app, and I can take it with me wherever I go. So if I'm away from my desk, especially for workers that are out in the field, that are away from their computers and away from their desks, you get the full optimization here. Everything that I showed you, the map layers, the workspaces here, everything that was on the main toolbar, fully in sync. We created this webinar layer before when we started this webinar, and it fully synced over. All of my map layers are here, so we have all of that capability right here in my pocket. So no matter where I'm at, Spheric Maps goes with me wherever I go. And then under settings, this is where you will enable location-based alerts. And so what happens is you will select the allow alerts based on my location to the on position. And once you've enabled location-based alerts, then you'll go back to manage alerts. And you'll notice under the alert locations, my iPhone is now displaying as a location for alerts. And so when I go back to rules and I tap add a new rule, I can now choose my location as my iPhone instead of a static location. So this way, no matter where I go, I'm going to receive those location-based alerts. And then I can also tap on delivery, and that will ensure that those alerts are going to my iPhone as well. And then I just go and create the alert rule just like I do for creating one for a static location. So it's very simple and very easy to use there. Now, one final thing I will mention, if you are running iOS, especially if you've upgraded to iOS 13, you need to take a moment and go to your settings page in iOS, scroll down to privacy, location services, and then keep on scrolling through your list of apps. And under Spheric Mobile, you need to make sure that it is set to always, because especially after upgrading to iOS 13, sometimes Apple will switch this over to ask next time or while using. If you want those precise location-based alerts and make sure that those location-based alerts are giving you the most accurate location-based alerts, this does need to be set to always. One other side effect of upgrading to iOS 13 is even if you set this to always, occasionally Apple is going to prompt you and say, do you want to continue sharing your location with the Spheric mobile app? You're just going to have to tap yes or allow, because that is something that Apple has added into iOS 13 that's a bit of an annoyance, but that's just something that's we're just going to have to live with unless Apple kind of backs off of that a little bit, and that is how that works. And then the final feature I will show is the Spheric Chat feature. So how this works is with Spheric Chat, you're given a chat box here in the bottom left corner of the screen, and this allows you to directly communicate with our customer success and our customer service team, as well as our meteorological services team. So if you've got any questions and weather questions or product support questions, you can chat with our teams right here directly in the Spheric Maps product, and it works just like your traditional any type of other traditional chat or messaging app as well. And we do have the ability to show and hide this chat feature with this button right here on the main toolbar. So if you're taking a screenshot of Spheric Maps, for example, for for social media, then you may want to hide the chat feature, and we have that capability as well. So that's going to wrap up everything that I wanted to show. And so now I'm going to take a look at your questions here, and let's see. One person had audio issues. I hope that was straightened out when we went through the slide deck. If not, we will be sending out a recording that you can go back and review that. And sorry if anyone has had any audio issues during this. It looks like most people did not. So I guess that was one person that reported that. One person said, will this be available as a recording to share as training? Yes, it will be. We record all of our webinars, and you can go back and watch them as many times as you want to, and you can make sure that all of your colleagues can view them as well. And the next question that came through, will the alerts we have set up from Streamer automatically transfer over to Spheric, or do we need to set up the alerts again? All of your alerts from StreamerRT will automatically migrate over to Spheric Maps, so there's nothing you need to do in terms of that part of the migration, because we do have a common system there where we were able to bring those alert rules over. I recommend, even though when you go over to Spheric Maps, I do recommend taking a few minutes and checking out some of the new enhancements that we've added to alert rules. So if you want to take advantage of, for example, location-based alerts, which is a big one, then you may want to make some adjustments there. If you have our wet bulb globe temperature add-on, then you can get alerts for that as well. Plus, with the Spheric Mobile App, you can now do alerts that are now issued as push notifications to the Spheric Mobile App instead of just text or email alerts. So while the alert rules will automatically migrate, it's also a good time to take a few minutes and check out our great new enhancements and see if you want to take advantage of any of those. Any custom map views in StreamerRT you will want to recreate in Spheric Maps, because that's been redesigned from the ground up. You do want to take a moment and do that. Can you show multiple layers on the screen at the same time? Yes, you can. You can display all sorts of layers on the screen at the same time, and I'll just give a quick demo of that. So for example, I can show radar, and then if I wanted to show lightning, I can do that. And you can show quite a bit of different ones at once. So just make sure you don't overdo it so you don't clutter your screen, but you can show all sorts of layers at once that you want to. And then somebody else asked about the recording, and I have already answered that one. Is there a way to search for a location on the map instead of having to manually locate and zoom in on the town? I don't believe there's a way to search for locations at the moment. The way we navigate through the map is through the map controls, so through zooming and through all of that. You can search for map layers in the map layers pane using this search feature here. I don't believe we have a way that you can search the map for locations yet. Everything's done through navigation. But that's a good question there. And then how do we get the recording? We will email that to you after the webinar, so everyone that signed up will receive an email for that. And somebody said, where can we find the recording of this and other tutorials? So the recording of this will be emailed out to all of participants after the webinar. Also, if you go to earthnetworks.com, under the webinars page, we do have a webinar gallery where we do show our archived webinars as well, so you can go back and watch any of our previous webinars. Plus, support.earthnetworks.com is where you can find all of the video tutorials on Spheric Maps. And the way you can also get to that right inside Spheric Maps is by clicking on the help icon, and that will take you right over to the Spheric Maps, where you can get the video tutorials. We have written tutorials as well. We've been working on a full comprehensive manual that we'll be releasing as well. And so we're going to make sure that you have all the training documentation that you need as well. I'm not seeing any other questions here. I will remain on for a couple more minutes while we wrap up this webinar, just in case anybody has any additional questions. Don't forget, after the webinar, if you still have questions, email us at info@earthnetworks.com, and we will be glad to answer your questions. We also do offer Spheric Maps product overview webinars each month, which are similar to this one, except I just don't show the differences between the two interfaces. So you can come back each month and get training anytime you want to in Spheric Maps, and we will show you these each month. Anytime we have new features that we unveil in Spheric Maps, we also cover those in the webinar, plus all those other materials we have at support.earthnetworks.com. And one more time, just in case anyone missed it, the StreamerRT end date is August 12th. So August 12th is the final date that's the day we're going to be ending StreamerRT. So make sure that you are transitioned over to Spheric Maps and fully migrated before August 12th, because that is the end date there. I am not seeing any additional questions now, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the webinar since we are on the hour. Thank you, everyone, for coming to our Earth Networks Spheric Maps overview webinar for StreamerRT customers. We hope you love the product as much as we do. Thank you for spending a portion of your afternoon with us. Thank you for being an Earth Networks customer and a Spheric Maps customer. Stay safe, stay well, and we will see you next time in a future webinar.